right, good morning. Of course, it's the Wednesday edition of Galaxy Today, right here on Galaxy Television. My name is Uche Onyekuluje, and I'm not alone. I've got Akuanka with me this morning.
And I'm Joseph Oko. It's such a delight to have you join us today.
All right. Of course, we know that this is supposed to be the health sector, but before that, we'll be looking at the state of the economy, and then much later, we'll be talking prostate cancer. I hope you've gone to do your test, Joseph, concerning prostate cancer.
I really don't know whether I have prostate. I pray I don't have it, but I'm sure when the doctor begins to talk to us on symptoms and signs, we'll get to know our true status.
All right, so saying that that's not what we're looking at today. We'll first be looking at state of the economy. Of course, 2019 is just closed by. The budget not yet approved and a whole lot going on. But this morning we have a guest in the studio who is the president, Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce, in person of Akin Olawere in the studio. Good morning. Good to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, so it's so good to have you. I'd like us to look at the state of the economy in Nigeria. I mean, this is something that a whole lot of us are maybe not confused about, or a whole lot of us are really bothered about. I'd like us to first talk about that, then we'll go straight into why we have you here.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Naturally, when we look at the state of the economy, we first of all look at how we feel and how it affects us directly. Yes, I can say that the way it is affecting us, it's like it's going worse. But what we also need to realize is that, for instance, if you have a thorn in your flesh and you want to take it out, you need to push it in harder, you know, and then it pains you more before you can get it out.
Yeah.
We had been going through some free fall before, and now it's like we're trying to put some building blocks in place, some structures. Some of these structures are manifesting. But there is one bit of a challenge which I think our leaders also need to look at, and that is how to make these structures sustainable and at the same time reduce the pain of the people.
Okay.
The Human Development Index is not aligning with the GDP. As we say that the GDP is growing, the economy is recovering, the HDI is dropping further. You know, well, why is that? Not cash in circulation.
Yeah.
And I think that is the main thing. Now, why do we not have enough cash in circulation? Can we attribute that to the late passage of the budget?
Yeah.
Because government seems to be the biggest spender. You know, we all depend on ourselves, but the people who spend the money depend on government. So once the government rolls out the money, it doesn't filter down.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, we are about 8 months gone in the year, and this thing is still not coming out. So obviously, whatever reserve that you have tried to put in place would have dried up, and that is why we seem to be having that.
Okay.
So
I'd like us to look at the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce, its activities, and how it has impacted Nigeria's economy.
yeah, thank you very much. In the last 40 years that the chamber had been existing, our main mandate had been to facilitate trade between Nigeria and the UK, and that we have been doing. Principally, we assist British businesses. Apart from inviting them in, we assist them into breaking into the country, you know, understanding the way to go, and then get them partners, you know, credible partners who can work with them, you know, and that has been going on very smoothly. Yes, with some of the challenges that the country had gone in, we have had to step up our activities to reach out more to them, and then let them understand, you know, what the country stands for, and let them see the people. One thing is to get the news, and we have a lot of negative news and narrative about the country out there, so people get nervous. One thing is to get the news, but another is to see the people themselves. And what we do now is to also bring them in, you know, let them come and see us in our natural habitat and understand the kind of people that we are. And you can see now that a lot of businesses are beginning to come back into the country, you know, and take. I mean, right now we're discussing with some organizations who are in the fast-moving consumer goods, you know, who would like to come into Nigeria and have some partners. So what we're doing is put together partners that can meet with them, take them out there, let them have their meetings, let them understand themselves, and then they can then now see which one we can go with. So a lot of these things are happening now, and this will be impacting on our people. In terms of agriculture as well, we're playing some very leading roles. You know, starting from education on exactly what we need to do to get it right, and then down to a couple of expos to bring those who have technology to those who require the technology.
Okay.
All right. The Nigerian-British, bilateral relations have been great over the last couple of years, but I'm wondering how it is now. What's the situation like? Can you give like an appraisal
In terms of trade?
Well, now, as a matter of fact, really, it's getting better because initially it was good. After a while, it seemed as if Britain abandoned us, and then now they're beginning to realize that they also need us to be able to work together. So now it's growing, and if I can remember, I think it had grown over the past 4 or 5 years by close to 100% to about 16. I think about 16. I think about 16 or 8 billion pounds. I'm not quite sure now, but it's projected to go to about 20 by the year 2020. So I think it's about 16 now. So it's growing. There's a lot of cross-fertilization going on now. And again, with Brexit, it's important that you take advantage of a country where you speak the same language, the same legal system. We have imbibed part of their culture, and they have part of our own culture as well. I mean, it's about the largest place where we have, it's about the place where we have the largest number of Nigerians. So there's that mix already. So it's like we already understand ourselves, and we are the largest economy in Africa. So it's best for them to relate with us. So we are all optimistic, and that is also part of why we're doing so much. Now we're working with the Nigerian Commission there.
Okay, now you mentioned Brexit. I mean, in the wake of this Brexit thing, do you foresee any adverse effect on trade relationship?
With Nigeria or with Nigeria?
Yes.
No, I think if we position ourselves very well, it should be to our advantage.
I see.
Yes. No, number one, if we look at it, Africa is like the last frontier for investment. And why is that? There's a lot of opportunities here because we have challenges. Where you have challenges, you have opportunities for business. So there's a lot of opportunities here. Part of why people are just nervous is, well, okay, look, we can't see our ways through. It's like it's opaque, no data, governance, and all of that. But a couple of reforms are coming into play to, release all of this. Now, if you have the middle class growing, you have 70% young population, you have large expanse of land, all you need to do is to look at it, look, let me go on there and set up this factory. I have the labor that is not going to be as expensive as over there. Quality skilled labor who understand the terrain, and I also have the market in there. So both for Europe and for the UK, we hold the ace.
I see.
Yeah. So in your introductory speech, you talked about the need for us to establish a relationship in terms of bilateral relations. One thing people are scared of, people who want to invest in Nigeria, for example, with investors' confidence is low. So what is your chamber doing to boost investors' confidence in Nigeria?
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. We're making them to realize how real these reforms are, and right now we're also working with a partner to produce a documentary. Speak to the British businesses who have been here. Let them speak to their successes. The Nigerian businesses speak to their successes. The joint partners speak to their successes, so that people can hear straight from the horse's mouth, and then understand. But much more importantly, apart from all the talking and all of that, is we try to get them here. We organize inward mission. We go outward and then bring them back inward mission. So they actually come to the country. Now they are coming because they believe that you will be able to create a good landing space for them. And when they come and they see the country, it's like, oh, this is different from what we've been hearing. Because seeing is believing now. So we need to get them to come and be able to do what they need to do. And as a chamber, what we also do is we have an incubation center for businesses. So that when you come in, before you even start to spend money and all of that, you have office where you can use, you have all of the facilities, and our members are in both in the service and in the production area, and we can help them into keying it properly into their plan.
I'd like us to look at the nation's forex now. I mean, what's your take on the nation's interest and forex rate regime, I mean, what should we be doing?
Well, I think what the economists have been saying left and right, but when we look at it carefully, is to say that we find out for a while now we have stabilized on the 360. So which means that the Naira, because of what is happening and all of the challenges around us, actually needed to be devalued as at that time. So we've stabilized on 360 for a while. Yeah, that was about 100% devaluation as at that time. It had halved everybody's fortunes. But if we also sit down to ask ourselves, you can see that interest rates seem to be dropping every month. Month on month, it is dropping. So part of the question is this foreign exchange regime and the exchange rate, who are the people it actually affects? The middle class. You know, those who have to spend dollars. And also the businesses that have to use dollars to bring things in can make it expensive for them. But I also notice and I'm aware that a lot of the multinationals are also doing backward integration. They also require materials that we can grow here, are growing it themselves, and also encouraging farmers to develop it for them. So they are like a ready market for them. You know, so that is creating some positive growth in sectors. Well, some other negative point we could have to that is that, well, if I can produce what can be exported,
Okay.
then I'll make more money when I convert it to Naira. So we also have some of our produce being exported. You know, in fact, I think our inflation should have come down a long time ago, but then some of the food that would have saturated the market had been exported for dollars by individuals. So, but really, if we look at them, if we buy Nigeria, make Nigeria, make Nigeria itself buy Nigeria, then we probably will be able to work with our Naira.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to take advantage of the inflation that is dropping now. But when we have to, I mean, like the aviation industry, a lot of the heavy duty industries, they have to require dollars to do some of the things that they are doing. So some of the services and products that they bring in obviously will be impacted by that exchange rate. But I think gradually, as the economy picks up and people are getting employed, and if we fix our infrastructure, we'll also be able to compete very well in some of these areas.
You know, you just mentioned infrastructure now, and then looking at infrastructural issues. I mean, what would you advise that the nation should focus on? I mean, like power, for instance, in terms of power.
Well, naturally, we all will say power. And yes, power is key. But I think there are two major things, power and mobility. If we can, the Minister for Power will tell us that there is excess generation.
Okay.
So if there is excess generation, he has been appealing to industries who will require that they can give directly to them to use. I'm not in that sector, but I keep asking myself, so what is the problem? The industries that require this power, why can't they just get it directly? So that is number one. Then number two, now where there are no industry, because when you talk of industries that require the power, maybe there will be very few who are big enough to require and acquire that power. But okay, so how about the vulcanizer by the roadside, who also needs power? How about every other little person that needs power to survive? The hairdresser, this, that, you know, how about those ones? If government can sit down and look at it, what are the problems of the distribution companies? Why are they unable to distribute what we are producing? What I hear is a part of the problems, apart from issue of aging equipment, of course, which now requires some further investment. But part of what I hear is the technical thing about wastages. You know, that when power is traveling, you have some energy losses. Again, if we look at it that way, we probably want to ask ourselves, do we want to travel long distance then? If you don't want the power to travel long distance, then why don't we have a cluster power? You know, just have enough power that services a certain area that you don't need to travel long distances. So I think if the industry people can come together and think about it, look at the challenges, don't let us blame anyone again. Look at the challenges, look at how we can solve those challenges, we may probably get somewhere. But if we can get the power right, things will improve. And in terms of access, we're increasing in number. When prosperity comes, virtually everybody will have 1 or 2 cars. So how are we going to be able to move around again? You know, when we had the GSM, we thought that it would reduce movement. But somehow we have caught up with it again. We're back on the road. So if we can have mass mobilization, mass transit, railway, Lagos State is working on waterways now. Railway, waterways, and roadways that connect, I think we'll be better off.
All right, before we let you go, sir, we know that you did mention earlier you are ready to partner with people to move out. So coming here now, how do you think, what are your intentions? How do you want us to partner with you here?
Oh, well, like I said, you see, it's the role of all of us to see that we give out the right narratives about Nigeria. When I say the right, I mean the correct. I'm not talking about peppering it, because when we find that we are also wrong, we need to make things right by ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, but we have to use many means, you know, to push out and to reach out and let our stories be told and be heard. Right now, like I said, we're putting together some documentary, and when these kind of things happen, these are things that we can also share, you know, together, and let us see how business is real in Nigeria, and how people are also real, and that it is not what is being read. Yes, in every country, in every society, you have some bad eggs.
Exactly.
But that does not make all of us.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, I almost felt like just changing my profession, just listening to you, you know. Thank you so much, sir. In case you're wondering, we've been speaking with President Nigeria British Chamber of Commerce in person of Akin Olaware, who's been telling us state of the nation and, of course, the benefits. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
We do hope we'll have you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, don't go nowhere. We'll be returning after the break, where we'll be looking at prostate cancer. Get your questions ready, and then just send only SMS to the number that will be written on the screen. After the break, we'll be back. What would you rather be watching during your lunch hour? Galaxy Television bringing to you a program that brings you closer to social media, trending stories,
this agenda like you just read out.
breaking news.
There is nothing happening in Kogi beyond the government house that suggests that a governor who is responsible to the people is in charge.
Issues that affect you and family. The Bars, showing from